This Icon podcast is hosted and sponsored by Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, a leading provider for your virtual assistants and outsourcing needs. Owned by one of the top-ranking EXP agents, Justin Nelson. Sphere Rocket VA provides a one-stop virtual staffing solution for business owners, and we specialize in helping business owners grow their business by leveraging through virtual assistants. Trusted by the top names in the real estate industry like Kyle Whistle, Andrew Franklin, John Kitchens, and many more. Get ready to up your success and we'll help you achieve your business goals. Book your free consultation at sphererocketva.com and find out how we can make your life easier.
Hello, and welcome back to the Icon Podcast. I am your host, Gianna, and thank you to our sponsors, Sphere Rocket VA, for making another episode possible. And today we get to know all about Scott. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for joining. So let's get started then. Take us all the way back to the beginning. Scott, where are you from? What market are you in now? And how did you find yourself in real estate?
So I am in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, which is just above Montana, North Dakota. We're kind of like the Minneapolis, I guess, perhaps for your U.S. listeners.
Okay.
And I've been in real estate for 16, 17 years. And I got started in it from, and I don't know if it was big in the States like it was in Canada, but Mike Homes and Homes on Homes. It's a home renovation program. My wife and I bought our first house just prior to me getting into real estate, and through watching Home and Garden TV and learning about houses and renovating my house, I just got interested in real estate. And I had a couple of friends, I would call them, personal mentors, if you will, at the time, that were husband and wife team in real estate with RE/MAX. And I joined their team in 2006.
Okay, cool. So, we started out with RE/MAX, 2006. We've been at the game for a little while now. When did you jump over to EXP, and what drew you to it? Because switching brokerages it's tough. So what made you say this jump is worth it to me?
Yeah, so I was with RE/MAX, like I said, 15, 16 years. I had hair when I started. And and you know what? It's very expensive, especially in my market. It's very expensive. And when I started, in 2006, 2007, the name RE/MAX meant something, and it meant something in our market. We had double the market share of every other company. And I think that RE/MAX was just synonymous with real estate. That's not the case anymore. In our market now, the local company is third, fourth, fifth, some months first. So it's really dropped. And part of that is just a high fee model. It's the most expensive company to work for. And I was just sick of building somebody else's retirement just so that I could have a balloon in my advertising. Because that's really what it boiled down to. At this point in my career, I did not need the RE/MAX brand to secure, sales and listings. And to be truthful, I don't think any agent needs any brand to secure business, in 2022. Personal brand trumps everything.
Agreed.
And so, it's funny. I like to joke, but I'll do just about anything for a free lunch. And I can't tell you how many boards I've sat on and how many volunteer positions I've done because they had lunchtime meetings and I was going to get a free lunch. And so, as you know, the EXP model is predicated on, recruiting. And as soon as agents get in, they recruit. And it happened to me. And I said, well, if you want to recruit me, take me out for lunch. And one guy did. And then I was like, hey, this is a pretty good gig. And so four free lunches later, I actually said to a friend of mine, I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I'm just milking these guys for free lunches. But over time, it chipped away at me. And then really, you know what? It was the EXP Explained video, the original one by Brent Gove, that really got my wheels spinning, that it was time to make a change. And if I'm being truthful, I was ready to leave RE/MAX for years. It just didn't really have a place to go. And so it was kind of a combination of it's time for me to leave, and a new opportunity finally made sense for me.
That's awesome. So, you were sitting down to all these recruiting lunches, probably caught wind of it or whatever it was. And then, when you were thinking it's time for a change, we saw that EXP model. We liked it, looked good. Let's go ahead and make this move. So now that you're here, you're a high producer at EXP, you're in the top 2%. What makes Scott say, I am never leaving EXP?
Well, it's kind of like an Apple product. Once you get an Apple product and then you have your iPad connected to it and your MacBook
Mhm.
connected to it, it makes no sense to get an Android phone because nothing works anymore. And so, I mean, a testimony to the EXP, business model. Once you're in it, it really doesn't make sense to leave. And, to be fully transparent, I have a driver personality and I'm a very type A person. And truthfully, I just kind of want people to leave me alone, let me do my business, let me do my thing. And I don't really put a lot of stock in the company. Like even with Remax, I mean, I went to the functions, but I wasn't a big raw Remax guy. And even at EXP, I just want to sell houses. I just want to make money. There, of course, there's benefits to being at the company, but I think with the rev share, with the stock, and it just doesn't make sense to leave. And plus, we all know those agents that are on their third or their fourth or their fifth brokerage, and the grass is not green on the other side. The grass is green where you water it. And I had planned to be at Remax my entire career. In fact, I was kind of looking forward to getting that 25-year plaque and that 30-year plaque. And so I don't see myself leaving EXP unless something catastrophically changes with the company, just because it doesn't make sense. It's not good for your production, and you're going to be successful or you're going to fail at any company depending on how much work you put in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You're 100% right. And, I like what you said. Like, you like to just kind of do your own thing, get your work done, sell your houses. Nobody has to be over your shoulder. And that's the cool thing about EXP, is that you can do your own thing. You do have to be a self-starter. You have to be a little self-motivated because we don't have a lot of brick and mortar areas. But at the same time, that's an advantage to people like yourself, Scott, that you're like, I am a train. I like to go, do it on my own. Leave me alone, trust the process, and I'll get there.
Exactly. And I mean, I think that's where the team structure, the mentorship model at EXP comes in. You have to leverage that if you're not a self-starter, or if you need some of that training or you need some of that accountability. It's all there. And it would be true in a brick and mortar model as well, that as an agent, if you need help, you need to reach out and get that help. Or we all see the agents at, the 80-20 rule. We all see the 80% of agents at every company that are at the bottom, and they seem to stay at the bottom. And you know what? If you're being honest, you can look at them and spend 5 minutes with them, and you know exactly why they're at the bottom.
Yeah, 100%. And, Scott, let's talk a little bit now that we've kind of talked a little bit about the tools at EXP and how much you can pretty much work yourself to death here if you want to, with all the training and the tools and bettering yourself. Let's talk about you for a minute. Let's talk about how, you're busy, you're high production, you're jumping around, you're branding yourself. How do you take care of Scott? How do you make sure you're avoiding burnout mode and that your work life is at a decent balance for, what's possible with it?
Yeah, great question. I don't really believe or buy into that whole narrative a whole lot, if I'm being honest with you. I joke all the time with a colleague of mine that when's the last time you've really worked a 40-hour week? And I don't want to make it sound like, I hope this podcast is more geared to agents and not our clients. But when's the last time you've really had to work a 40-hour week? And I guess if you maybe added up every text, every phone call. But I work out of a home office. I get up, I get to work out at home. I get my the stuff done that I need to get done in the morning, and just like everybody else, I go on my appointments in the afternoon and the evening if need be. But if agents are really honest with themselves, there's lots of flex time in between, lots of time to get other stuff done.
Yeah.
Lots of time to go for a random lunch or a random coffee. So, in the springtime we're entering into right now in our market, it's busy, and it is what it is. I mean, that's the nature of the business. For the next 2 or 3 months, it's going to be busy, and you just have to leverage into it. But again, I don't really, I know that agents talk about it, and I just don't really buy into that whole, well, I'm burnt out and I'm so busy. And yes, you go through a couple of days stretches sometimes when it's just, crazy. Then I'll take an afternoon and I'll just chill out at home, or I'll walk my dogs or whatever. And so because of the flexibility in our schedule, I don't really think there's an excuse for agents to burn out.
Absolutely. No, you're 100% right. I love that you pointed that out and that you're honest about it, because that's what people want when they come to real estate. Often I am talking to Icon podcasts like, hey, what caused you to come over? What wanted you to make the jump? And they were like, there's a little more flexibility in the schedule. I could spend more time with my kids. I can do this, can do that. Even though you feel like you're hitting the ground running, you still got a lot of personal time, at home in your home office, or, you're just not at your desk from 8 to 5.
Right.
Ultimately, you're not handcuffed to it, which is a good point.
Or commuting. I mean, one thing that I love about this business is that I don't fight, 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. traffic. 5 p.m. the odd time if you're out showing a house in the afternoon, but you definitely don't have to commute. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And you do a little bit of like working out, taking care of yourself, a little time to clear your mind. But what really recharges you, Scott, is that like some people are in like axe throwing leagues, or some people use meditation in the morning. Like, how do you come to terms and just like touch base with yourself, I guess, when it's going?
I'm a very stable person. And what I mean by that is, mentally, emotionally, and I know that, everybody's different, and, not to make light of different people's personalities and struggles and different things like that. But I'm a very stable person, mentally, emotionally, physically. I don't have super high highs. I don't have super low lows. And so I don't necessarily really, I don't really necessarily feel I have to, quote unquote, recharge. I do work out in the morning. I have a couple of dogs that I have to walk a couple of times a day. I really look forward to those times of getting
Yeah.
out. And, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I don't listen to music like rarely at all, if ever. And so I, just trying to keep myself sort of sharp and focused that way. And then, I mean, obviously, everybody has their hobbies and their things they like to do that, that fills their cup. But yeah, nothing that specifically that it's like, oh my goodness, I just need this hour to recharge. I just don't operate that way, I guess.
I'm going to chalk this conversation up to what recharges Scott: free lunch.
Every day of the week. Yeah. If you need me to do something for you, just order a pizza and I'm there.
Heard. That's awesome. No, that's really fun. And that's great. You've got your own way of operating, and, to each their own in this industry, which is one of the things that makes real estate and EXP one of a kind.
For sure.
So Scott, let's talk a little bit about the Icon Award then, right? So I'd like to know, in your market, we don't have to talk exact numbers because then our heads will start spinning, but just like a ballpark idea of, how many houses you have to sell in your area compared to somebody who's selling homes in like Los Angeles, California, right? Where they can Icon in like $3 trillion sales where, maybe you have to work a little harder and get 15 to 20. I don't know yet. And I would love to learn about that production. I want to know what benefits you took away from the Icon Award and how you gave back, culturally. Are you a mentor? Did you teach lessons in EXP world? What's your story? What is the Icon through Scott's eyes?
Sure. So this is actually April 1. I mean, depending on when this episode comes out, we're the first week of April 2022. Yeah. April 1st, 2022 was technically my first year anniversary with the company.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Thank you. And I iconed early, like I think I iconed about the 8 or 9 month mark of the year.
That's
and
incredible.
I mean, even this year with April 1 being the sort of the cutoff date or the start date for the next year, I just had enough production. I kind of scheduled it that way so that I banked a bunch of stuff, and I've basically capped already the first week of the new season, if you will. And so in Saskatoon, our average commission is somewhere in that $6,000 range, $6,500. I mean, obviously you can go higher and lower, but if we're just using averages, which works out to about 35 deals to Icon, it's about 15 or so to cap, and then of course the additional 20 deals. I don't think and I don't know the award intimately, but I don't think anybody in our market would get there with GCI. I think most people are going to go by the deals, and so in our market, it's I would say on the low end 30. Some agents might need 37 or 38 deals if they do smaller deals, but that's what it takes to icon in our market. And I chose to teach in the university. I would love to be on some icon panels. It just didn't seem to be an option when I could either be a mentor or teach in the university. And I teach on for sale by owners. I cut my teeth in this business on FSBOs. I still call FSBOs to this day. And so that's what I teach. And I actually I've only done 2 training sessions so far, but on the last training session, I actually did a couple of live calls. I think that it's the best way to teach people to sort of see it in action. And really with for sale by owners, I think people have a negative connotation that they're mean or they're nasty or they're going to swear at them. And it couldn't be farther from the truth. It's an absolute gold mine of business. And so I think the live calls were great for people to see that, wow, it's actually not that hard. And so I think the cultural commitment for iconing is pretty cool. However, again, to my earlier comment about not being a big, I don't get into the weeds on sort of company stuff. And so I haven't really dug fully into, all the features and benefits of the award. Only being with the company 1 year and really being quite busy. I just haven't had a chance to dig into it.
Absolutely. No, that's really cool. Diving into FSBO is something that's maybe not necessarily focused on a lot in the EXP world, whereas, everybody's talking about social media or, how to break into different markets. But
right.
FSBO is a very unique market, and that's really cool that you're focusing in on that.
Well, and it's listings. So, I mean, that's the name of the game. And I think that so many of the other tools out there are potentially buyer attractants. And so the thing that I like about for sale by owners is it's listing dominated predominantly.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's really a cool area of focus, something that not everybody thinks about. And if this is an official invite, if you ever want to come do a spinoff episode on it and kind of, I guess, dive in or maybe tease one of your lessons coming up in EXP world, you're more than welcome back on the Icon podcast.
Anytime. Love to do it.
Awesome. And so then moving on, Scott, that's really cool how you get back to EXP culture. Everybody's got their own, special touch on it. But I'd like to kind of talk to the newbies right now that may be listening. Maybe they are a first-year EXP agent, or maybe they're new to real estate and EXP is their first brokerage. They see this big shiny icon award that the best are getting. They've got their eyes on it, but is that something they should shoot for in their first year? Obviously, you did it with your first year in EXP, but what are some mistakes you may have made along the way that could have jeopardized that, or just some advice, when tackling the icon award in your first year with EXP?
Well, I guess if we're speaking to like the brand new agent or maybe an agent that's less than 5 years in the business, I guess the short answer would be why not? Why not shoot for icon and go for it? I would say it's not easy to do. And again, I guess depending on which market you're in and how many deals that you have to do. But if you take my market at 35 deals, I would say that very few first year or first 2 or 3 year agents would hit that mark, but that doesn't mean that it's not possible. I mean, it's all, like I said earlier, the grass is greenest where you water. And if you hustle and work hard and, do, I guess, all of the things that you're trained and taught to do and all the things that are out there for you to do, it's not impossible to hit that production level. I think where agents really start to see growth in their business is when they get A, referrals, and B, when they start to get that past client business. And I mean, those deals are, a first year agent can't get a past client deal. So it's, it really does take, maybe 3 to 5 years to start to see some of that business come in. But where I think new agents are really missing the mark, and if I can go this direction, is social media. I know that there's a couple of younger agents in my market that have a large following or connection, especially on Instagram. They'll post one picture and they'll get like 400 likes. I'll slave over a piece of content, and I'll get 40 likes or something like that, and I'm happy. I'm an old guy. I'm 43 years old, but these younger agents that have built up a following, I think they're scared to leverage social media because they think, well, I'm 1 year in the business, I'm 2 years in the business, who's going to follow me? But I know a couple of agents that have really documented the process. Hey, I'm going on my first listing presentation. Hey, it went really well. I'm at my first home inspection, and these are a couple of things that the inspector pointed out. And I would buy a house from her any day of the week because I've watched her grow in the first year of her business. And I think that if new agents would get out of their comfort zone, get on social media, document your process through your growth in real estate, you would be absolutely amazed at how many people would want to do business with you. And it might be higher on the buyer side because all of your sphere might be like, hey, I want to call Scott and have him help me buy a house. I see he's out there doing this, that, and the other thing. So that would be one piece of advice for a new agent and a younger agent, to just get over it. Start posting, start documenting, share some of your mistakes, share your wins, share your process, and people will flood to you to do business with you. Guaranteed.
Absolutely. That's so well said. Really grow your brand. And that's one of the cool things about EXP too, is you're not, oh, this is EXP Scott, right? You're Scott. And then the little sparkle in the corner is, my bones are EXP, but who you see and who you're interacting with is Scott, right? And that's the really unique thing of the scalability of your brand and your business. You can crank it all the way up. People really don't even think about what a brokerage is coming from somebody that talks to real estate agents every day, but I don't have my license. I'm not in the world. And I was like, what is a brokerage? What? You guys aren't just at a real estate office full of real estate agents? People don't really care about that as much as they care about who they're buying the house with, who's putting them into their home, how is this person going to interact with them throughout the process, and are they going to, take away something from it, learn something more, keep that lead warm, recommend them to their friends, and so on and so forth. And I think that social media is a great area to focus on, especially for the newbies.
It's that typical saying that people don't, or what is it? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I always say people don't care what brokerage you're with. They care that you're working hard for them. And I said it at the beginning of the episode, personal brand trumps everything. And especially nowadays with social media. Somebody said the other day, what do real estate agents sell? And most people will say homes. It's incorrect. We sell information. We're knowledge brokers. We're helping people navigate through a transaction based on our knowledge. And if you can be the knowledge broker, especially on social media, there's 10 deals a year right there instantly, easily.
Yeah, 100%. And, I like that, it's not how much you know, it's about how much you care. And I really think that's a huge point to emphasize on, especially as a newbie into the industry, and get in there, lean into your mentors, lean into the people around you, use that contact list that you have in your phone. I had somebody say there's 26 letters in the alphabet and 30 days in the month. You've got plenty of time to get around to them. And I think that's also great advice. And Scott, moving on, I'm sure at one point, maybe you were on the fence about EXP, and maybe you weren't. Maybe you saw EXP and you're like, that's for me. But, there's things that float around in the industry like EXP is a cult, EXP is a pyramid scheme. You don't want to go over there. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. So to somebody listening right now that's skeptical, or maybe even if you could go talk to yourself, however many years ago you learned about EXP and you didn't quite make the jump, what would you have to say to somebody that's on the fence like that?
Yeah, it's a great business model by the company to provide revenue share for organic growth, but it does come with a downside, and that's that we refer to as like commission breath or recruiting breath. That there's lots of jokes out there that when an EXP agent calls you to find out more information about the property, there's a good chance they're just trying to recruit you. And I do think that is a bit of a stigma out there, and I think it's warranted. I mean, it's true, right? We all get into this company and we see the potential. Where I think that maybe the recruiting process fails a little bit. And what I see, and I'm not a big recruiter. I've been in your business or EXP 1 year. I have one person on my team, and I do have plans to grow it. But I think what people are looking for is mentorship, accountability, training. The whole rev share thing is, I think, something that you grow into in the business, and perhaps there's bigger teams that will get into it solely for that. But the individual agent that says, I'm kind of thinking about making a change, kind of thinking about getting into this business, I think that leveraging all the tools that EXP has. And, as I've listened to many other your guests on the podcast, they all talk about, the top guys sharing and the collaboration. And I think that's actually what draws people over. I think people like to sell the stock and people like to sell the rev share. And those are definite pluses. And that's what really piqued my interest, especially, iconing and getting that stock back. But I think that's where people might miss the mark. It's like, hey, how can I show this agent how they can be helped and served at the company? And I think that's going to draw people over, maybe more so than trying to sell them on stock and rev share.
Absolutely. A funny story. Yesterday, I was talking to an Icon agent. She's like, I go on recruiting lunches all the time. She's like, they call me and they ask me to recruit them, or they ask to me if I can come over and how we can be on a team and stuff like that. And she's like, I just pull a reverse on them, and all of a sudden I'm talking about EXP and they're asking me about my brokerage. Just pulling that little reverse card on, this is why I love EXP. Maybe you should think about coming over here, because with opening a brokerage, why would you take on all that liability and all that risk when we could do the same project, work together, but you just come join me instead? And correct, I think that it's exciting.
For sure.
And a good way for free lunch, Scott.
Exactly,
if you want to hear that from her. Well, Scott, I think this has been a great episode. We're coming up on 30 minutes, and I've asked you all my questions. Is there anything that you would like to leave the listeners with before we, do a spin-off episode in a couple of weeks?
I don't think so. I think at the end of the day, we as real estate agents, and anybody listening to this that's in the business or new to the business or thinking about getting in the business, you really, at the end of the day, get out what you put in. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be a 40-hour grind. If you're smart with your time, you can accomplish a lot more and a lot less. So I appreciate the invite. It was an honor to be here. And I do look forward to being back at any time.
Awesome, Scott. Thank you so much for your time today, and be on the lookout for me at EXPCon and shareholders, and we'll get together and we'll talk more.
Look forward to it.
Thanks, Scott. Bye.
See ya.
This Icon podcast is hosted and sponsored by Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, a leading provider for your virtual assistants and outsourcing needs. Owned by one of the top-ranking EXP agents, Justin Nelson. Sphere Rocket VA provides a one-stop virtual staffing solution for business owners, and we specialize in helping business owners grow their business by leveraging through virtual assistants. Trusted by the top names in the real estate industry like Kyle Whistle, Andrew Franklin, John Kitchens, and many more. Get ready to up your success, and we'll help you achieve your business goals. Book your free consultation at sphererocketva.com and find out how we can make your life easier.